Hello, everybody. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Nathan Fa. I'm a licensed addiction counselor. I hope that you are having a good day. We are currently facing a blizzard, so I'm currently in the office. I don't know how much longer I'll be here. But, anyways, what I want to talk about with you today is Newton's third law, which states for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, how does this pertain to us? What does this have to do with, you know, self-growth, personal development, becoming better? Well, really simply put, I mean, you think about well, I'm a good person because I've done bad things, or I'm a hard worker because I've also been lazy. We can't know something without knowing both parts. In the 12-step world, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, there's the fourth step, or I guess maybe more, or put differently, the fourth suggestion. It states, something to the effect that, we need to, create this inventory where, really they're getting us to look at resentments. And I mean, there's a little bit more to it, but simply put, that's the major part. So we go through and we make this list of resentments, but how we've been wrong, the things that we're carrying with us, the things that we're re-feeling, how we've been kind of victimized or really screwed over, kind of throughout the course of our life. So like a real basic example of this would be like, let's say I was fired from a job, and I just get angry anytime I think about that former employer, that boss that fired me, because it affected my ability to be able to pay my bills. I mean, it affected my self-esteem. I mean, there was a lot of things where I really felt like I'd been wronged. So that's kind of the first part. So we go through, we make this inventory of how we've been wrong. But here's the part that kind of brings us back to this idea: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So we go through and we look at how we've, been wronged. And this is the part that we miss. And this is one of the biggest barriers for people that are trying to change, that are trying to get better, is we stop there and we hold on to that, but we don't stop and think about, well, what's my part in it? Because that's what I have control over. And if I look back at that, if I use that back to that example of getting fired from that job, well, what I can look at then is, well, my part in that is when I showed up, I wasn't doing the job, or I kept coming late, or I'd call in sick, or, there was all of these things that had led to me getting fired. And again, I can learn from that so that I don't repeat those same mistakes again in the future. It's not, in a sense, letting, the boss or the employer off of the hook, because maybe they could have gone about it better or whatever, or maybe I felt like I should have been given another chance, or they could have handled it differently than just firing me. But I have to let go of that because I don't have control over that. So I can learn from that experience. I can take a look at what my part is in it so that I have a better chance of not repeating those same mistakes in the future. I should take a step back here and just kind of, I guess, maybe explain something. I mean, I don't know how much I want to get into this part, but The hard part with looking at our part in it is, justified versus what I would call unjustified resentments. And unjustified resentments are the really easy ones, like, I brought up with the former employer and getting fired. It's really easy to look at that and to be able to kind of take a step back and be, okay, I can get it. The justified resentments are justified. And that's hard because, like let's say, something terrible happened to us. We were traumatized. Maybe we were abused in some way or had other terrible things that were done to us, where we were, victimized. It can be, first, it would be a very horrible and insensitive thing to be able to go, well, what's your part in that? Especially, like if it happened when you were a child. You don't have a part in it. You were a child. You were victimized. But I think if we are very careful, we can still ask ourselves this question. And what I mean by that is, if you're carrying that trauma with you and it is as raw and fresh as the day it happened, even if there's been significant amount of time between when it happened as compared to now, I think if we're careful and we say, well, what's my part in this, is that the fact that I have carried this with me for, all of these years, that I've allowed it to have control over me. I've allowed myself to stay in that place where I relive that trauma over and over again. I have the ability to be able to do something about that. If I can let go of being victimized and start to focus on what I have control over, that's my part in it. I can seek out counseling. I can do, maybe I start volunteering. Maybe I, work on, helping other people that have been through similar experiences. Or, maybe I just go through a process of trying to resolve or deal with it on my own. Maybe I can, practice, journaling, writing about it, coming to, starting to look at, the feelings that I carry about it so that I can better understand it. Again, sorry, I'm getting a little off track here, but the important thing is again, if very carefully we can look at that, because the whole idea here is, again, to take back control of our lives, to be able to say, I can't control the things that have happened to me, but I can control how I've responded. So that's kind of the general idea here, because kind of where the 12 steps, take us from there, they get into, what they call steps 6 and 7, which is looking at our character defects and just kind of learning to accept them, realizing that, I can do, even though I've done bad things, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, or that within me I have good aspects of character. And I learned that by going through that process of identifying what those weaknesses are, and I can start to look at that in the sense of, well, are those the only aspects of character that are coming through? Do I display other, positive aspects of character? How does that weigh out, looking at, my life before as compared to now? And hopefully through that, I can start to see that if I can accept myself on the whole, that I'm okay. I don't have to just focus on my negative aspects of character, that those things don't define me. My past actions, my past behaviors are simply in the past. They just are. What I can do, or what I do have control over, is I can learn from those things so that I don't repeat those same mistakes moving forward. This, like I said, it can be difficult to do this, but this is how we start to find our way out. You know, so many people stay trapped and remain unhealthy because they can't get past the feelings of victimization, the feelings of failure, the feelings that they're worthless, the feelings that, you know, that they're bad people, or they're, you know, incapable of having good things happen to them, or whatever. But that it is that it's just a trap. You know, we have to realize that we are giving all of our power over to the things that we don't have control over. If we can start to look at things, take a step back, look at the bigger picture, look more objectively at our lives, we start to find that that's only one side of the coin. There is another side. And it really comes down to, then, I have the ability to choose where I focus my energy on. I can either focus it on the negative stuff, or I can focus it on the positive stuff. And that's where, again, things can start to improve. Because if I can start to shift more of my focus onto the positive things, start to look at life through a lens of gratitude and hope, that is my way forward. All right, I think we're going to end this video for the day. So thank you for your time, and until next time.